It sounds to me, based on your description of Israel entering quicksand, that you don't see it as Israel having a likely and easy path to victory and this being over.
No, I agree with that. This is not over. Even if the war ends with a ceasefire tomorrow. Well, when he was leaving here, Norman said, I think there'll be a ceasefire. I don't, but I hope there will be. If there is, Israel has the problem, what do you do with Gaza? They have put forward no ideas about what to do with Gaza, at least not to the United States. There are ideas in the Israeli press which sound horrific. Some generals and politicians are saying, we empty all of northern Gaza of its population, and if anybody stays, we starve them to death, and we treat it as a free fire zone. Well, that doesn't sound like a very good idea to me.
Does it seem unlikely, though?
It's possible. I mean, the way things are going, given the complete complacence and support of the United States for whatever Israel ends up deciding to do, I see no restraint on Israel. They don't seem to understand that the entire world sees what's happening and finds it horrific and detestable and despicable and has turned against Israel. The entire world, including in public opinion in most Western countries. Public opinion in this country months ago opposed the Biden administration's policy. Public opinion months ago in the United States opposed Israel's war on Gaza before it spread to Lebanon, as it has now. And public opinion opposed sending weapons, majorities, to Israel. That's American public opinion, which has been subjected to decades, generations of an exclusively Israeli narrative. And they've already seen through the fog of propaganda and lies and the anguish that was caused by the 7th of October in Israel and among many people in the United States, they've suddenly seen what's happened since is really bad and should not continue. Now, the governments of Western countries are continuing to support Israel. Our elites in our universities and corporations and media continue to support Israel. So there's not going to be a change as far as I can tell. But Israel has lost public opinion the world over and in the West. And that the West is the metropole of this project. I mean, Israel is a thriving entity. It's a nation state. It's a regional nuclear superpower, yada, yada, yada. All of that's true. But it's entirely dependent on the United States and Western Europe for certain things. Its major trading partner is Europe, the EU. The United States supplies it with its weapons. You don't have American and European support, you can't do what you're doing. And they're threatening the very basis of that support by basically thumbing their nose at public opinion the world over. You see the way that Israeli leaders treat the United Nations. Well, the United Nations represents public opinion in the world. So I would say, not only do I not see this as coming out well for them in terms of the specifics of Gaza or the specifics of Lebanon, I would say that globally, Israel's put itself in a terrible, terrible position. Had they accepted a ceasefire the ceasefire Biden offered months ago, had they accepted the ceasefire that Biden suggested for Lebanon weeks ago, they would be in a marginally better position today. Were they to accept one tomorrow, they would be in a marginally better position. But it does not seem that that's the way things are going. I don't know. I'm not predicting the future, but the way things have gone up to now make me think that they won't take that offer.
The issue, though, also seems to be that despite Israel not having public opinion, perhaps this imposes like a very hard stop on what they are able or not able to do. So, for instance, when I asked Benny Morris about genocide, he said, well, they would just use a nuclear bomb if they wanted to commit genocide or something to this effect. But it isn't stopped.
He doesn't know anything about historical genocides if he says that. I mean, everybody now considers what was done in Southwest Africa with bayonets and guns and starving people genocide. You don't need a nuclear bomb to commit genocide. The Ottoman army didn't have, and the Teshkilat Makhsusa and the militia, the Kurdish militias that killed all these people, didn't have nuclear bombs. In fact, most of the people were killed by starving them to death and depriving them of water. So that's a ludicrous assertion. I'm sorry, I don't mean to argue with Benny Morris.
Right. My point, though, was just that public opinion has always been, it seems, against Israel, and maybe not in the immediate aftermath of October 7th.
Certainly not in the immediate aftermath. There was global sympathy for Israel.
Right. But
it's Israel's actions after the 7th of October that changed that. It's not some visceral anti-Semitism in the world. It's what Israel was seen to be doing by people who didn't take in the propaganda that you find in the mainstream media that caused that reaction on the part of public opinion.
Right. I'm just saying, though, that this lack of public support has not really stopped them from doing much that I can tell.
No, you're right. Not at all. It's had no impact whatsoever.